Our next candidate is a Democratic candidate. His name is Tom McMasters. He is a fiscal conservative that believes we need to lower the deficit and reduce the national debt in order to lay the foundation of prosperity for us and our children. He is the proud father of 5 and has been married to his wife Marilyn for almost 15 years. While on active duty, he supported Operation Desert Storm. He was in Somalia and Sarajevo relief. He has been deployed to Cairo, Egypt, Qatar, and Kabul, Afghanistan. His undergraduate degree is a bachelor's degree in physics, and he has a master's degree in secondary education. He is taught at the Air Force Academy Prep School and Sinclair Community College. His last assignment was as a research scientist at Wright-Patt Air Force Base, and he is currently a test and evaluation manager supporting the Special Operations Forces and Personal Recovery Division. Tom's positions are on his website, and he believes the informed voter is his best supporter. Though he works full-time, he enjoys talking with people and returning calls and emails in the evening. And if you'd like to get his phone number, he has that listed, but I'll be respectful of that. You can give it out yourself. And you can see him on his website at tom@mcmastersforcongress.com. Ladies and gentlemen, Tom McMasters.
Thank you very much. It's actually a pleasure to have somebody else read the bio for you, and because that'll let me hop right into some of the issues out there. I have been describing myself as a fiscal conservative that believes that we need to lower the deficit and reduce the debt in order to lay the foundation of prosperity for us and our children. What that means in simpler terms is we cannot have a budget of $3.8 trillion where $1.3 trillion of that is borrowed. First, let me say that my default position is that we need lower taxes and less government. But if we as a society decide that we are going to have a strong military, Social Security, and some of the other programs that we have, then we have to pay for it. And that statement right there makes the situation much complicated for my lower taxes and less government position. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about some of the specific issues that I think need to be talked about tonight and in the campaign, and that is Fed monetary policy and the 15% capital gains tax. Let me start with the subject that I've written about on my old website, but I haven't quite brought it up into my campaign website there, and that is how the Federal Reserve regulates the economy. Okay, the Federal Reserve, actually let me do the introduction to that first. I think personally that we are about to turn the corner on the recession. I know that we're going to be working through the housing crisis for years to come. There's still a lot of foreclosures out there, but I actually think we're about to turn it in the next 6-8 months. You're going to see a lot more growth in GDP, a lot more people employed, and some of the normal situation that we've seen prior to these last 3-4 years will come back in there. Part of that is because of the freebies that the big banks got from the government that allowed them to hunker down and save their profits, and now that they've ridden out the storm, they are going to go from a stabilization activity into starting to search for profits. The auto industry is selling more cars. We heard again today that they're employing more people, and sales are on the rebound, and that's in January, February timeframe, so that's actually good for us. And the government's infusion in money and education has kept the highest paid teachers relatively safe from the recession in the first place. In fact, articles in this week's paper and it's on the internet tell us that the business community has started to talk about when the Fed is going to start raising interest rates in order to throttle back the economy so that we don't end up with a lot of inflation. I'm telling you that that policy is not a tool that we should be using in our government. That throttling back the economy, if it has to be done, needs to be done by Congress. And they do it by using the tax code or by cutting programs. Okay, using interest rates to do the same thing only protects the biggest companies, and it throttles innovation at the same time. If you look at what happens when we use interest rates to stop competition, you see the biggest companies are the ones that are likely to qualify for the loans, and the startup companies are the ones that have to go out of business. So that the little guy either has to stop or he has to sell out to the big guy. If we use the tax code, it's the bigger companies that actually end up paying the taxes. But the biggest reason that I want to use the tax code instead of interest rates is because taxes help lower the deficit. Interest rates help big banks get bigger profits. The other subject I want to talk about is the 15% capital gains tax versus the 35% marginal top rate. That difference, that 20% difference, shows us what our values are in the country. It shows that we value people that push money around more than we value people that produce stuff. To say that the farmer or the auto mechanic needs to pay 35% of their income and the banker only needs to pay 15% of his income tells us that we want more bankers and less people producing stuff. And the example I give there is U.S. Steel. U.S. Steel back in the 80s was actually making profit. They were making 4% profit a year, but they decided, why am I going to sit here making 4%? If I sell everything and I put everything in bonds, I'm making 12%. Okay, so we've been doing this for a long time, and that's the end of my time. Appreciate it there. I appreciate you coming out, and I do have a website where I highlight a lot more of my positions. Looking for your vote in the Democratic primary. Thank you.